Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dallas Daily Show, coming at you from the Neighborhood Loan Studio here in St. Louis, Missouri. Today's topic is talking about the future, stuck in the present. Let's get into it. So today, I don't get to tell a story from my life. I mean, it's kind of secondary to my life, but it's one of the stories of one of my good friends. He is also a fellow coach. He is a fellow, his name is Jeff Koziatek. He's a partner with me. We're fellow speakers. We have been accountability partners now for 2.5, almost 3 years. And I'll explain what that is in just a moment when I talk about the accountability element. But this story actually comes from Coach Jeff's life. And I asked him specifically, I said, hey, can I share this on the pod? He was like, okay, I guess I can't share it on social media. I was like, sure you can, Jeff. Just share my podcast episode and it'll go on your social media. He didn't like that. Taylor, he wasn't a fan. He wasn't a fan of that. But nonetheless, he gave me permission to tell this story. So one of the things Jeff and I do, I said this idea of we're accountability partners. A few years ago, I had been reading a book. And at the end of the book, it said, hey, give this out to people and share this book with someone else and become an accountability partner with them. And every day you guys read together and do the thing. And I was like, this is a great exercise. So I bought that book for about 5 or 6 other people, and I bought them hard copies. I was like, here. Jeff and I just happened to be talking one day because we had met at a National Speakers Association event, and we hit it off. We became really good friends. But it was one of those like, hey, we're really good acquaintances. And over the last 3 years, it's grown into a higher level of friendship. I happened to mention this book to him. Jeff, being a fellow self-development junkie, he bought the audio version, the Audible version of the book. And right now you're driving or you're listening to this. Maybe you're working out or doing the dishes. You're listening to this and you said, Dallas, what is that book? What is that title? Well, stick with me till the end. Maybe I'll share it with you. I've got my evil villain voice on today. Sorry, everybody. So Jeff bought this Audible book. He started listening to it. And at the end of his listening to it, he called me up and he said, so are we doing this? I said, I don't know what you're talking about, man. And his response was, are we going to do this accountability thing that it says near the end of this book where we're going to read it together? We're going to go through it and we're going to hold ourselves accountable to grow through it as well. See, I think that's a huge lesson, everybody. A lot of times we go through a book, but do we grow through a book? Big question to ask yourself. I've talked about that previously, that you can read for quantity, right? I know people who at the end of 2024 were posting their book reading list of like, I read 54 books this year. I read 38 books this year. And I said, yeah, but did you grow through the book or did you simply go through the book? Quantity or quality? Did you actually learn something? So that's an important question for you to keep in mind as well. But at the end of this conversation, Jeff said, hey, man, are we going to do this book together? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I've bought this book for like 5, 6 people. Let's do it. We ended up buying this book, or we ended up doing this book together. And we started leaving each other Marco Polos. I don't know if you know what Marco Polo is. I think I've talked about it on the pod before. But basically, it is a non-in-real-time video app. You can leave almost like video messages for people rather than a voicemail, and you can just talk into the thing. You're like, hey, man, my learning today was blank, or my wife and I will leave each other Marco Polos. Hey, sweetie, this happened today, and I thought I would share it with you. And it's just a way that it's you're not in real time. I can watch it when I get to it. Jeff and I started leaving each other Marco Polos 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, very much like this podcast. Hey, man, it's Tuesday, it's Thursday, it's Monday, whatever day it was. Here's my learning for today from this book. And we were reading for the transformation element. We were reading for the quality element, right? And so I'm currently on my 16th reading of this book. I just started my 16th pass through this book for the last 2.5, almost 3 years. And all I do is, I could almost spout some of it verbatim at this point, but I wanted to start baking the ideas into my soul a little bit. And yes, you're still wondering, Dallas, what possible book have you read 16 times? Again, maybe I'll tease that at the end. Keep listening. Taylor's just grinning off camera like, I don't know why he's doing this. Here's the deal. Jeff and I started doing the Marco Polo every day for each other. We started leaving each other insights. Some days I would read a paragraph, 2 paragraphs, a page. 3 pages, most of a chapter, until something stuck out to me. Some days I'd get in and within 2 or 3 sentences, something would stick out to me. I would leave it on the Polo. Hey man, here's what I learned today. My learning today comes from boom, do the thing, leave the Polo, that's it. And then he would do the vice versa. He would lead, I would lead, we would just go every day leaving these Polos for each other. And when I tell you we have not missed but a few weeks worth of days in the last 3 years, it's incredible. Jeff and I have also grown closer together through that. So all of that set up to say this. Jeff was leaving me a Marco Polo. He was driving in his car, and I'm not going to say he wasn't 10-2 because I have no idea, but he was, had his Polo on, not talking directly to the camera because he had his eyes on the road, and he was talking, and what he was doing was he was also leaving his Future You script. We talk about that a lot, the Future You and the MindSHIFT calls that we just covered yesterday, the Future You 5-Day that's coming up next week, futureyou5day.com if you're interested in being a part of that challenge. But he was leaving me his Future You script, and he was going through it, and he was talking about all the things he was wanting to become in this new version of himself, this upgraded version of himself within his power script. And all of a sudden, he was like, oh, hold on one second. And there had been this traffic accident on the side of the road. And then in the middle of his script, I could tell it was taking his focus. Here's where we're going with this. What would happen was he'd be like, oh, wait, he just left the Polo going because he's not going to take his hands off the wheel, right? He would just go, oh, wait, hold on, there's an accident. It looks like everybody's okay. All right, so back to future me and what I'm talking about. And he would get back into it. So even while he was dealing with present problems, he kept re-anchoring to the future version of himself that he wanted to become. He didn't allow the rubbernecking of the moment to consume his focus on who he wanted to become, right? He was fully present for safety reasons, but he stayed anchored on the future version of who he wanted to become. And that's my challenge for you today. How many times in our life are we trying to focus on who we're becoming? We're trying to focus on the new behaviors, the new beliefs, the new habits, all the stuff that you hear me talk about all the time. We're trying to become this person, and yet stuff in the present tries to keep us anchored in the present. Where are you anchored? Where are you pulling from or pulling toward, right? Are you in a place where the present problems and the present predicaments continue to drag you into the present and it pulls you from the focus of who you want to be? Or are you focused so much on that the present problems are just like, okay, I'm here, I'm aware of them, but they're not going to distract me. They're not going to pull back on me. They're not going to drag me down because I'm becoming who I'm supposed to be. That's my challenge for you today. The positive play call is simply this. How will you stay anchored to who you're wanting to become, even when the present problems and the predicaments are trying to pull you back? That's it. That's all I got for you today, guys. If you want to learn how to build a power script like this, go to futureyou5day.com. We're starting that on Monday, I believe. I think it's just a couple of days away. We're getting ready to do the next round of this. So futureyou, the number 5, futureyou5day.com. Be sure and check that out. And, oh, by the way, I told you I might tell you what that book was. What do you think, Taylor? Should I tell him? All right. It's Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life by Bob Proctor. Great book for you to get. Go out and get it. But also, we're going to talk a lot about it at futureyou5day.com in that challenge. So go out there, my friends. Have a championship day.
Thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. For more tools, go to dallasdailyshow.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.